Hello students, in our previous lecture we are start unit number 2nd in paper first, that is penalties leviable under Income Tax Act 1961 section 271B, 271D, 271DA and 271E. In our previous lecture we are studied the introduction of penalty and meaning of penalties levied on the SAC. Okay, in previous lecture we are studied a two sections, that is section 271B and 271D. Okay, 271B, section 271B is failure to get account audited by the SAC or obtain audit report under section 44AB or to furnish the report of such auditor with the return of income. Okay, so this section says that the SSC will not comply with the provisions under section 44AB, that is failure to get account audited of his business. So the SEC will be penalized according to this section or according to the section 271B. Okay, so here we studied the penalties under section 71B. Penalty for failure to get account audited. If the SEC does not comply with the provision of section 44AB of the Income Tax Act, specified categories of the SSC are required to get their accounts audited. Okay, accordingly such specified category of the SSC are also required to furnish the tax audit report. In case of any default, the SSC would be penalized under section 271B of the Income Tax Act 1961. Okay, so the SSC will not comply with the provision of 44AB, that is he does not get his accounts audited from the auditor, then the Income Tax Act 1961 under section 271B are penalized the SSC, and that penalty is given here, and the penalty under section 271B would be the lower of the three, that is A. In the case of business, if the SAC is the businessman, then 1/2% or 0.50% of the turnover or gross receipts or rupees 1,50,000. Okay, whichever is minimum. Okay, whichever is minimum is the penalty for that SAC. Second, B, in case of profession, if the SSC is professional person such as doctor, lawyer, CA, okay, then the penalty for that SSC is 1/2% or 0.50% of the gross receipt or rupees 1,50,000, whichever is minimum. And we also study this point in our previous lecture. Okay, next section we are studied in our previous lecture, that is section 271D, and that section is related to failure to comply with the provisions of section 269 SS. Okay, the SSC does not comply with the provision of 269 SS, and that section is related to, or the 271D section is related to accepting loan or deposits or specified sum in contravention of section 269 SS, sum equal to the loan or deposit or specified sum taken. Okay, in that section we are studied if a person takes or accept a loan from a bank without contravention or with contravention of the provision of section 269 SS, he shall be liable to pay a penalty by way of sum equals to the amount of loan or deposit or specified sum, such as the amount taken or accepted by the SEC. Okay, it means the SSC will not comply with the provisions under section 269 SS, then the SSC will be liable for the pay a penalty, and that penalty is rupees or is sum equals to the loan, the amount of loan or deposit or specified sum that the assessee will accept or the assessee will take on, and the penalty is imposed by the joint commissioner under subsection 2. Okay. Then we studied the 269 SS. If a assessee shall take a or accept a loan from other person with refers to the depositors any loan or deposit or any specified sum otherwise than by an account payee check or account payee bank draft or use of electronic method for clearing system through a bank account, then the assessee will be penalized here. First, A, the amount of such loan or deposit or specified sum or the aggregate of such loan, deposit and specified sum. If the assessee was take a loan from another person on his bank account, then the amount of loan is the penalty for that assessee. If the assessee accept a deposit, then the amount of deposit is the penalty for that assessee, and if the specified sum is taken from another person, then the specified sum is the penalty for that assessee. Okay. If the assessee will take all the three, loan, deposit, specified sum, then the total aggregate value of the loan, deposit and specified sum is the penalty for that assessee. Second one is B. On the date of taking or accepting such loan. We also studied this point in our previous lecture. If the assessee will take a loan or on the date of taking or accepting such loan or deposit or specified sum, the unpaid amount or the unpaid amount of the loan is the penalty for that assessee. We also studied this point. Okay. Or rupees 20,000 rupees or more. Okay, so here the limit is given under section 271D, and the failure to comply with the provision of 269 SS, the penalty is the amount of loan taken by the assessee or the deposit accepted or specified amount is the amount or is the penalty for that assessee, or aggregate amount of the loan, deposit and specified sum is the penalty for that assessee, or rupees 20,000 or more. It means the minimum limit is given according to the section 271D, that is the no penalty shall be liable, no penalty shall be liable according to the section 271D is amounted to rupees 20,000. The penalty always above the 20,000, okay, or more than the 20,000 rupees. Now in our today's lecture we are going to discuss the section 271 DA, and that 271 DA is related to failure to comply with the provision of section 269 ST, okay, or the receiving any sum into bracket rupees 2 lakh or more in contravention to the provision of section 269 ST. Okay, so the section 271 DA is related to failure to comply. The assessee fails to comply with the provisions of the section 269 ST, and the section is related to the assessee receiving any sum rupees 2 lakh or more in contravention to the provision of section 269 ST. It means if a assessee will take a sum of rupees 2 lakh or more without complying with the provisions of section 269 ST, then the assessee will be penalized according to this section. Okay, so here sum equals to the amount of receipt is the penalty for that assessee. Okay, so here sum equals to the receipt. The amount received by the SAC as a sum or more than 2 lakh. Okay, that amount is that amount is that all amount is penalty for that SAC without contravention of the provision of 269 ST. If the SAC will accept the rupees or sum more than 2 lakh without complying with the provisions of 269 ST, then the amount accepted by the SAC will be the penalty for that SAC. In first point, if a person receives any sum in contravention of the provision of section 269 ST, he shall be liable to pay by way of penalty a sum equals to the amount of such receipts. Okay. If the SAC will not comply with the provisions of section 269 ST, then the SAC will penalize a sum equals to the amount of such receipt. Okay, so the amount received by the SAC will be all penalty for that SAC because he is not comply with the provisions of 269 ST. Second point is given here, that is any penalty imposable. Okay, so this penalty is also imposable by the Joint Commissioner, subsection 2. Okay, so fails to comply with the provision of S269 ST will be imposed by the Joint Commissioner of Income Tax. Third point, section 271 DA has been inserted with effect from WEF, means with effect from 1st April 2017 to provide for penalty for failure to comply with the provision of 269 EST. So remember this, the 271 DA has been inserted with effect from 1st April 2017. So this is the question asked from that sentence, that is for your MCQ. The section 271 DA has been inserted with effect from ... to provide for penalty for failure to comply with the provision of section 269 ST, and the answer is 1st April 2017. Okay, so remember this. Fourth point is essentially the section provided below. So section is provided below, that is fifth point. Okay, so here, if a person receive any sum in contravention of the provision of section 269 ST, he shall be liable to pay. So here we also study this point, the penalty by way of amount equals to the or amount of such receipt is the penalty for that SAC under section 271 DA. Any such penalty shall be imposed by, the penalty is imposed by Joint Commissioner. See, the penalty shall not be imposable if such person prove that there were good and sufficient reasons for the contravention. The penalty will not be imposed on the SAC if the SAC proves that they are provide a sufficient and good reasons for contravention of the section 271 DA. Okay, so if the SAC provides a sufficient and reasonable reasons to the income tax authority, then the penalty shall not be imposed to such SAC. Okay, so remember this, the penalty shall not be imposed if such person proves that there were a good and sufficient reasons for the contravention. Okay, fifth point is given here, section 271 DA state that if a person receives any sum as against section 269 ST using the expression any amount at the time or at the same time subsequently in section 271DA, it is provided that the penalty shall be equal to the amount of the receipt. This suggests that the term sum and amount have been used interchangeably. Okay, so here the amount of uh, accepted or received money is the penalty for that SSE under section 271 DA. Okay, so here we study the third section, that is 271 DA, and that section says that the SSE fails to comply with the provision of section 269 ST. ओके, म्हणजे बघा या सेक्शनमध्ये आपण काय पाहिलं तर सेक्शन 271 DA काय सांगतं तर एखादा SSE जर फेल्युअर ठरला किंवा त्याने सेक्शन 269 STचं उल्लंघन केलं तर त्याला दिली जाणारी पनिशमेंट ही कोणत्या स्वरूपाची असेल, कशी असेल हे आपण इथं पाहिलं. ओके, मग त्यामध्ये जर पाहिलं तर 271 DA हे कशाशी रिलेटेड आहे तर हे आहे जर एखाद्या SSEनं पैसे ॲक्सेप्ट केले असतील किंवा पैसे मिळाले असतील, ते किती लिमिट किंवा किती आहेत पैसे तर 2 लाखापेक्षा जास्त अमाऊंट त्याला रिसीव झाली असेल किंवा घेतली असेल आणि त्याने जर 269 ST या सेक्शनचं उल्लंघन केलं तर त्याला दिली जाणारी पनिशमेंट इथं आपण पाहिली किंवा पेनल्टी पाहिली. मग त्याला पेनल्टी किती आहे तर जेवढी अमाऊंट त्याला रिसीव होईल 2 लाखापेक्षा जास्त जेवढी अमाऊंट जास्त त्याला रिसीव होईल तेवढी अमाऊंट त्याची जी रिसीव्ड झालेली असेल ती त्याच्यासाठी पेनल्टी ठरेल किंवा ती पेनल्टी म्हणून त्याला द्यावी लागेल. त्याचबरोबर काय सांगितलेलं आहे की असा SSE किंवा जो SSE या प्रोव्हिजन किंवा सेक्शन्सचं उल्लंघन करून पैसे ॲक्सेप्ट करेल त्याला जेवढी रक्कम रिसीव झाली तेवढ्या रकमेचं काय होईल पेनल्टी लागेल. आता ही पेनल्टी कोण लावणार आहे तर द पेनल्टी शॅल बी इम्पोज्ड बाय द जॉईंट कमिशनर अंडर सबसेक्शन 2. तर ही जी पेनल्टी आहे ती जॉईंट कमिशनर काय करणार आहे त्याला लावणार आहे, हे एक आपण पाहिलं. त्याच्यानंतर आपण पाहिलं थर्ड पॉईंट तो म्हणजे सेक्शन 271 DA. आता हे सेक्शन कधी इन्सर्ट केलं किंवा कधी आणलं इन्कम टॅक्स ॲक्टने तर 1 एप्रिल 2017ला हे सेक्शन्स काय केलं लागू केलं किंवा इन्सर्ट केलं कायद्यामध्ये आणि त्याच्यानुसार त्याचं काय ठरवलं तर पेनल्टी कशाशी रिलेट तर हा सेक्शन राहील पेनल्टी फॉर फेल्युअर टू कंप्लाय विथ द प्रोव्हिजन ऑफ सेक्शन 269 ST. म्हणजे हे सेक्शन कशाशी आहे तर एखादा SSE सेक्शन 269 STच्या प्रोव्हिजन जे आहे त्याच्यासाठी फेल ठरला किंवा फेल झाला त्याने काय केलं उल्लंघन केलं त्या कायद्याचं तर त्याला त्याची काय करावी लागेल पेनल्टी द्यावी लागेल, हे गीत आपण पाहिलं. त्याचबरोबर इसेन्शियल्स पाहिले आपण की त्याच आपण पाहिलेले आहेत की जर प्रोव्हिजन्सचं उल्लंघन केलं तर जी काय अमाऊंट रिसिव्ड झाली असेल त्या SSEला तेवढी त्याची काय राहील पेनल्टी राहील. त्याचबरोबर ही पेनल्टी कोण लावतं तर जॉईंट कमिशनर लावतो, हे एक आपण पाहिलं. त्याचबरोबर आपण पाहिलं की जर आता या कायद्यामध्ये बघा काय केलेलं आहे तर SSEला त्याचं काय म्हटलं जाईल अपॉर्च्युनिटी दिली जाते की रिझन्स देण्याची. जर ती रिझन्स गुड असतील, सफिशियंट असतील आणि रिजनेबल असतील की हा कायदा किंवा हे सेक्शन उल्लंघन कशामुळे झालं किंवा त्याची रिझन्स त्याला त्याची चांगली वाटली जॉईंट कमिशनरला तर त्याला ती पेनल्टी लावली जाऊ शकणार नाही जर रिझन हे सफिशियंट आणि चांगलं असेल तरच. ओके, तर हे एक त्यामध्ये आपण पाहिलं. त्यानंतर आता आपण बघणार आहे ते नाव वी आर डिस्कस द फोर्थ सेक्शन दॅट इज सेक्शन 271E. and 271E section is related to failure to comply with the provision of section 269T with regards to the payment or repayment of loan or deposit or specified advance. Okay, so section 271E related to failure to comply with the provision of section 269 ST, and it is related to or with regard to the repayment of loan, deposit or specified advance by the SAC. So here 271, if a person repays any loan or deposit or specified advance sum equals to amount of loan, deposit or advance repaid is the penalty for that SAC. Okay, because the SAC fails to comply with the provision of section 269. Okay, so here 269, section 269 related to repayment of loan or deposit or specified advance. If the SAC fails to repay any loan or deposit or specified advance under section 271E or fails to comply with the provision of 269T, then the penalty will be sum equals to the amount of loan or deposits or specified advance repaid by the SAC. Here, if a person repays any loan or deposit or specified advance referred to in section 269T otherwise than in accordance with the provision of that section, he shall be liable to pay by way of penalty a sum equals to the amount of loan or deposit or specified advance so repaid under subsection 1. Okay, so here the penalty is liable for the SAC under this act or under this section 271 is if the person or if the SAC fails to comply with the provision of 269T and fails to repay the loans or deposit or specified advance without complying section 269T, then the penalty for that SAC is equal to the sum equals to the amount of loan, deposit or specified advance repaid under subsection 1. Second point is here given here, any penalty imposable under subsection 1 shall be imposed by the Joint Commissioner subsection 2. So here the penalty under section 271E is imposed by the Joint Commissioner of the Income Tax Office. Third point is repayment by debiting the account through journal entries a contravention of section 269T. If the repayment of the loan or deposits or advance specified advance, if it is repayment by debiting the account through journal entries, a contravention of section 269T. It means if the SAC repaid the loan or deposit or specified advance without complying with the section 269T and making the journal entries, then the SAC will be liable for the penalty, and that penalty is equal to the amount of loan or deposit or specified advance repaid. Okay. Fourth, specified therein not to make repayment of any loan or deposits together with the interest if any otherwise than by an account pay check or bank draft if the amount of loan or deposit with interest if any in case where any loan or deposits therein. Similarly, the argument that only in case where any loan or deposit is repaid by an outflow of fund section 269T provides for repayment by an account payee check or draft cannot be accepted because section 269T neither refers to repayment of loan or deposit by outflow of fund nor refers any of the other permissible modes of repayment of loan or deposit, but merely puts an embargo on repayment of loan or deposit except by the modes specified therein. Therefore, in the present case where loan or deposit has been repaid by debiting the account through journal entries, it must be held that the assessee has contravened the provision of section 269T. Okay, it means the assessee will repay the loan and against the provision of section 269T, then the penalty for that assessee is sum equals to the loan or amount of loan or amount of advance repaid is the penalty for that assessee. Fifth point, under section 269T, it is a mandatory for the person specified therein to repay loan or deposit only by account, pay, check or draft if the amount of loan or deposit together with interest, if any, exceeds the limit prescribed therein. If the assessee and under section 269T, it is a compulsory for the assessee specified therein to repay the loan or deposit by account, pay, check or draft if the amount of loan or deposit together with interest it is not exceed the limit prescribed therein or limit prescribed in under section 269T. If the limit is exceeds or if the assessee will not comply with the provisions under section 269T, then the assessee will be liable to penalize according to the section 271E. Sixth, non-compliance of the provision of section 269T renders the person liable for penalty under section 271E. 7. Section 273B provides that no penalty under section 271 shall be imposed if a reasonable cause is shown by the concerned person for failure to comply with the provision of section 269T. Here the also opportunity given to the assessee for failure to comply with the provision under section 269T. If he provides a good and sufficient reasons to the income tax office, then no penalty shall be levied by that assessee if the reasons are sufficient and good. Okay, so here we study the section 271 and that 271E is related to failure to comply with the provision of section 269T. ओके, सो बघा यामध्ये आपण काय पाहिलं तर आजच्या लेक्चरमध्ये आपण दोन सेक्शन्स पाहिली, ती म्हणजे 271DA अँड 271E. 271DA हे कशाशी रिलेटेड आहे हे मी तुम्हाला सांगितलं. सेक्शन 271E हे कशाशी रिलेटेड आहे तर एखादा assessee सेक्शन 269 269T या प्रोव्हिजन्स मध्ये फेल झाला किंवा त्या सेक्शनचं उल्लंघन केलं तर त्याला दिली जाणारी पेनल्टी काय असणार आहे ते इथं आपण पाहिलं. आणि हे पेनल्टी कशाशी रिलेटेड आहे तर ही पेनल्टी रिलेटेड आहे तर रीपेमेंट ऑफ लोन ऑर डिपॉझिट ऑर स्पेसिफाईड ॲडव्हान्स टेकन बाय द assessee. म्हणजे assessee कोणता लोन घेतला असेल, कोणाचे डिपॉझिट घेतले असतील किंवा कुणाकडून ॲडव्हान्स घेतला असेल आणि ॲडव्हान्स परत करत असताना त्यानं जर या प्रोव्हिजन्स किंवा या सेक्शनचं उल्लंघन केलं तर त्याला मिळणारी पनिशमेंट किंवा पेनल्टी काय असणार आहे ते या सेक्शन्समध्ये आपण पाहिलं आहे. बघा त्यामध्ये सांगितलेलं आहे की जी काही रक्कम असेल जर assessee या कायद्याचं किंवा या प्रोव्हिजन सेक्शनचं काय केलं, उल्लंघन केलं तर त्याला दिलं जाणारी पेनल्टी किती असेल, तर जेवढे अमाऊंट लोनचे आहे किंवा जेवढी अमाऊंट त्या डिपॉझिटची आहे किंवा जेवढा ॲडव्हान्स तुम्ही रिपेड केलेला आहे तेवढी रक्कम तुम्हाला पेनल्टी म्हणून काय केली जाईल, इन्कम टॅक्स कायद्यानुसार या सेक्शनमध्ये लावली जाईल. ओके. त्यानंतर ही पनिशमेंट कोण देणार आहे किंवा ही पेनल्टी कोण लावणार आहे, तर ही पेनल्टी तुम्हाला जॉईंट कमिशनरकडून काय केली जाणार आहे, इम्पोज केली जाणार आहे, लावली जाणार आहे. त्याचबरोबर आणखी प्रोव्हिजन काय सांगितले की रिपेमेंट जे लोनचं करत आहात ते रिपेमेंट करत असताना तुम्ही 269Tचं उल्लंघन करून डायरेक्ट त्याच्या अकाउंटवरती जर्नल एंट्री केली किंवा त्यानुसार अमाऊंट डेबिट केली तर तुम्हाला तेवढी त्याची पेनल्टी काय करावी लागेल, भरावी लागेल. त्याचबरोबर मॅन्डेटरी काय सांगितलेलं आहे किंवा आउटफ्लो इनफ्लो ऑफ फंड सांगितलेलं आहे. ओके. डायरेक्ट जर्नल एंट्री करून तुम्हाला ते लोन रिपेड करता येणार नाही. त्याला काय म्हटलं जातं, तर कॉन्ट्राव्हेन्शन ऑफ सेक्शन 269T. ओके. तर त्यानुसार त्यांना काय करता येणार नाही, तर रिपेमेंट लोनचं करता येणार नाही. त्याचबरोबर आपण कंपल्सरी पाहिलं की जो कोणी एसएसी असेल तो जो रिपेड लोन करेल तो कसा केला पाहिजे, बाय अकाउंट पेई चेक. जो काही अकाउंट पेई चेक असेल किंवा ड्राफ्ट असेल त्यानंच ते लोन पेड केलं पाहिजे. जर त्या लोनवरचं व्याज असेल तर त्याची सुद्धा अमाऊंट त्यात ॲड करून त्याने काय केलं पाहिजे, तो चेक दिला पाहिजे किंवा ड्राफ्ट काढला पाहिजे ज्याच्या नावे आपण देणार आहेत. आता त्याचं सुद्धा इथं लिमिट काय केलेलं आहे, त्या ॲक्टनुसार त्या प्रोव्हिजननुसार काय केलेलं आहे, प्रिस्क्राईब्ड केलेलं आहे. त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त अमाऊंटचा चेक किंवा ड्राफ्ट तुम्हाला काढता येणार नाही. जर काढला तर तेवढ्या रकमेचं तुम्हाला काय बसणार आहे, फाईन बसणार आहे किंवा पनिशमेंट होणार आहे किंवा पेनल्टी होणार आहे. त्यानंतर आपण पाहिलं की नॉन कंप्लायन्स ऑफ द प्रोव्हिजन, तेच आहे की जर एसएसीनं प्रोव्हिजन अंडर सेक्शन 269T याच्याशी उल्लंघन केलं किंवा कॉन्ट्राव्हेन्शन केलं तर त्याला पेनल्टी ही कोणत्या ॲक्टनुसार लागेल, तर पेनल्टी इज लेवेबल ऑर लेविड बाय द एसएसी अंडर सेक्शन 271E. ओके. त्याचबरोबर आपण पाहिलं की सेक्शन 273B. आता सेक्शन 273B हे पेनल्टीशी रिलेटेड आहे, परंतु या सेक्शननं तुम्हाला इथं काय दिलेले आहेत, लूपहोल दिलेले आहेत. ओके. मग हे सेक्शन काय सांगतं, तर 270B नुसार तुम्ही 270Eचं जे काही तुम्हाला पेनल्टी लागली आहे त्याचं जर तुम्ही गुड आणि चांगलं रिझन दिलं जे की इन्कम टॅक्स अथॉरिटीला पटेल असं असेल तर तुम्हाला या सेक्शनची पेनल्टी लागणार नाही, जर तुम्ही सफिशियंट आणि गुड रिझन दिलं असेल तर. ओके. सो हिअर टुडे वी आर studied the penalties under section 271DA and 271E. okay, in our next lecture we are study the next unit of paper second, that is deduction from gross total income. Here deduction from gross total income means a deductions available for individuals under section 80C, 80D, 80DD, 80DDB and 80E and 80U. So here the sections is applicable only for the individuals. Okay. So the individual can take advantages of this section and the section is useful for the assessee to deduct the amount of tax or deduct the amount of taxable income. Okay, so the deduction from gross total income means, here first of all understand the meaning of gross total income. What is gross total income? The gross total income is equal to the uh, addition of five heads. Okay, addition of five heads is called gross total income. Then we take a deduction under chapter 6a applicable to the individuals under section 80c to 80u, but here we only study the sections 80c, 80d, 80dd, 80ddb, 80e and 80u. Okay, so 80c is related to contribution. The assessee will contribute some amount to provident fund, some amount for LIC. Okay, so they will take a deduction for their saving or contribution. Okay, so in our next lecture we are studied the section 80c also. 80c is related to contribution, and 80d is related to mediclaim. Okay, mediclaim. Okay, it is very easy to remember these sections. Okay, so here, and this section is also beneficial for you in your income tax paper or in. Okay, so here section 80d is related to 80d is related to mediclaim. Okay, so we also study the mediclaim or the maximum amount deductible under section 80d. We also study the 80c. 80c means 80c is related to contribution, and contribution for their own savings. Contribution means the assessed saving or investment. Okay, investment in mutual fund, investment in provident fund, investment in LIC policy. Okay, so the section is related to investment. 80c is related to investment, and the maximum amount is deducted according to this section is amounted rupees 1,50,000, but this 1,50,000 is for assessment year 2019-20. We are study the assessment year of 2020 and 21, so the limit of the 80c will be uh, increase or decrease, it not fixed. Okay, so we study the 80c also, as well as 80d. 80d is related to mediclaim. 80dd, 80dd means mediclaim for disabled person. DD means disabled doctor. It means very easy to remember. DD, disabled doctor. Disabled means person who has an handicapped or handicapped person. Okay, so we study the 80DDD also 80DDB, 80E and 80U. 80U is also related to disabled person or blind person. Okay, so we study these deductions available for or applicable for the individuals in our next lecture. Okay, remaining. Okay, so here we all are completed first unit of paper first, that is set up and carry forward of losses. The unit is over. Penalties liable under income tax, the unit is over today. And in paper second we also study the or completed the unit number first, that is procedure of assessment under Income Tax Act 1961. Now we are going to study the deductions from gross total income. Okay, and the deductions is available or applicable for the individuals under section 80c, 80d, 80dd, 80ddb, 80e and 80u. Okay, so very easy to remember these sections. And then we are going to start our practical units. Okay, first of all we study the taxation of partnership firm, that is practical problems are on taxation of partnership firm. It is very easy, like a computation of taxable income of business or profession, same as it is the computation of taxable income of the partnership firm, as well as some theory points related to that unit. Here, elements of partnership deed, inclusion of clauses, interest on capital and salary of partners. So here, interest on capital and salary to partners are the core part of that unit. Okay, uh, the all topic is on the salary to the partners and interest on capital. Okay, so we study the third unit, taxation of partnership firm, after completing the unit number second in paper first, deduction from gross total income. Okay, so here today we are study the penalties and penalties liable under Income Tax Act 1961. Under this unit we are studied a four sections, that is penalties liable under section 71 E and 71 DA. Okay, we go from last. Okay, last to first. For last section of our this unit is 271E, and that section is related to failure to comply with the provision of section 269T, if the and it is related to repayment of loan, deposit or specified advance. Then we studied the section 271 DA. Okay, 271 DA, and that 271 DA is related to 271 DA is related to the fails to comply with the provision of 269 ST, which is related to receiving any sum or any sum of amount above the 2 lakh. Okay, and the assessee will not comply with the provision of section 269 ST. Okay, so we also study the section 271D, and that 271D is related to fail to comply the provision of section 269 SS, which is related to accepting loan or deposit or specified sum. Okay, and first section, that is we are studied in our previous lecture, 271B, failure to get account audited or furnish the report as required under section 44AB. It means if the assessee fails to comply with the provision under section 44AB. Okay, so today we are study the unit number second in paper number first. Okay, so here in our next lecture we are studied the unit number second in paper second, that is deduction under chapter 6A, 80C to 80U. Okay, thank you very much.